So it appears that we have a Chaos Space Marine Codex cover, and the Raptors and Warp Talons are going to be hitting with more attacks than ever. Hello and welcome back to Warspets Tactics for just a quick little update on Chaos Marines today. We've got a grainy image of the new cover, and we've got some leaked rules for the Raptors and the Warp Talons. It seems pretty likely that Chaos Marines are going to be featured pretty heavily in the Warhammer Fest previews next week, and these only seem to increase the odds that the new Codex is just around the corner. First up, we have the Codex cover. It appears to have been leaked in Potato Camera, because obviously there isn't any other way that you can leak anything about Warhammer 40k. I guess with the image quality, it isn't impossible that it could have been photoshopped, but my suspicion is that it's probably real, as it's basically the same as the extended image of this guy in the bottom left, which Games Workshop have been using as their banner for the new Chaos Marine previews. For previous codexes, say like Genestealer Cults or Imperial Knights, the little banner at the top of the Warhammer community previews has been the same as the Codex cover, so it seems pretty likely that this could be legit. I guess we've already got a pretty detailed image of the guy standing front and centre, a chain axe in one hand, what looks like some sort of demon's sword in the other hand, I think. You can't really make out a whole ton from the foreground of the new image, but I do wonder if those possessed looking folks down at the bottom of the cover might be some of the new Chaos Mutants or Cultists that are rumoured to be coming out soon. It'll be quite cool to see it in full. I've got no doubt that we'll have the entire image revealed in full at Warhammer Fest on Wednesday. I'll most certainly be covering any of the Chaos reveals on the channel, so feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see a bit of a breakdown of that. Otherwise, we've got a few leaked rules coming in for Raptors and Warp Talons, another one of the classic datasheets and packaging sets. They tend to rebox pretty much the entire plastic ranges for each faction going into 9th edition, and with having to ship the boxes all around the world, I guess it's not really too surprising that a few of these leak out. Mostly the rules are pretty much to be expected. Everyone remains hitting on 3s, strength and toughness 4, moving 12 inches with their jump packs, and they get the 2 wounds and boosted leadership that we saw on the standard Marine stat line. Probably the most exciting thing for these guys, though, is the fact that the base attacks are going to be bumped up so much. On their raw stat line, they had just the 1 attack each previously, but they did have Hateful Assault. Now the Raptors have a big meaty 3 attacks at base, the champion having 4, and Warp Talons have a massive 5 attacks, the champion having 6. Those numbers do sound absolutely immense, but I think for both units it only really equates to adding 1 extra attack compared with what they had previously. Hateful Assault would often be triggered, and that would usually catch up a fair bit, so a standard Raptor would go from striking with 3 attacks each to striking with 4 now, which to be fair is still a pretty decent upgrade. Warp Talons, I think they're only striking at 5 attacks to take into account their Lightning Claws. I think they've just baked the standard Lightning Claw attacks into the profile rather than having them listed on separate war gear, as it doesn't really make sense to do so, as they can't really take anything else. Still though, that's going to be +1 attack for them. It is pretty ludicrous seeing 6 attacks coming out of the unit champion as well, very intimidating indeed, and with a whole flurry of attacks with fairly decent AP and re-rolling wound rolls, they're still potentially being in a very good place, now they're so much tougher with 2 wounds and the new Armour of Contempt. Other than that, there's no real surprises on the war gear front, but then these guys aren't really armed with anything that you'd expect to be altered. They all have profiles the same as other Space Marine units. Aside from that, there were a couple of other rumours going around from that big Chaos leak for the Warp Talons. The Chaos leak looking even more credible now, as they said that Warp Talons will be having 5 attacks base, and now we know they do. But that source had Warp Talons at losing their cancel Overwatch ability, but gaining an ability to pin enemies in combat with no falling back. Particularly now they're a bit tougher, I think the latter does sound more powerful to me. With 2 wounds and Armour of Contempt, they're going to fear Overwatch just that little bit less. As well as that, both them and the Raptors will also have a -1 leadership ability too. Maybe a little bit of an aside considering how easy leadership seems to be to mitigate in 9th edition, but certainly doesn't hurt on units that are going to be getting stuck into the fray. In any case, looks like they could be fun with Night Lords or maybe Word Bearers. Word Bearers re-rolling all their hits on the charge seems like it could be very powerful. So a couple more interesting Chaos Marine bits there. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Certainly looking forward to covering any more news that we get on the channel, so feel free to subscribe if you'd like to see more. Finally, if you have been enjoying all the videos on Warspets Tactics, I would just like to mention that the channel has a Patreon page, which allows me to continue to make videos quite this regularly. If you are enjoying a lot, then any support is massively appreciated. Channel patrons do get a fair few advantages, seeing certain videos early, regular votes to see what sort of things come next on the channel, and automatic entry into the regular prize giveaways with a chance to win some really big model kits each month. If any of that sounds good to you, or you'd just like to help support, the link is down in the video description. In any case, a massive thank you for listening, and I'll hope to see you guys next time.